Okay, on a personal brand level, Facebook is the single most important platform still because of scale. Just true general scale. Unless what you want to talk about and what you're about only skews 21 and under, you have to be on Facebook. To me, that's oxygen.
And what should they be talking about on Facebook?
What
And then let's talk about the difference between a personal Facebook page and a business Facebook page with them as the head of their business. Should it be one or should it be separate?
What Tyler's talking about is there's two ways to play on Facebook. You can build a business page, a personal page. If you have any commercial ambitions, it should be a business page. They work different on the algorithm. You'll have different tools. So the answer is, for business purposes, we're here. It's a business page. You should be talking about whatever the hell you want to be talking about.
Should you share family stuff or personal stuff on the business page or keep it business?
No, I'm a very big believer that people overthink this. I think you can go anywhere with it. I think you're gonna look at data and see what happens. Some people resonate on a personal level, others don't. Again, I think this comes down to self-awareness. I also think the type of content you post is self-awareness. There's people in here that can write their ass off, but like freeze when there's a camera. You know, I can't put two sentences together, but I can do my thing. When there's a camera, there's audio, there's pictures, there's captioning it, you're clever, you're smart. So there's a lot of variables. I think, one thing that I wanna make sure all of you understand is that the written word, video, and audio have been the way we've always consumed stuff, and it's the way we will always consume stuff. And so I think one of the things is, right now, the medium is so visual that I think a lot of people here are pressured into thinking it's about the camera world, and I think there's incredible upside in written word and audio. I think everybody at this point understands is a lot bigger than we thought 3 or 4 years ago.
Second, because you talked about it last year and it's blown up. Instagram.
So Instagram's the next establishment. It is the establishment. It is the most contemporary and important platform in my opinion. It's already gotten to the 50 and 60-year-old set, so it's pretty much now at scale, right? There's an awful lot of attention on it. I think that for most people, it's a requirement as well to me. DMing on Instagram is stunningly effective, even to the most powerful people. So that's a little fun fact. I think there's access that's playing out on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly important product.
And how important is it that the photo be aesthetically pleasing in some type of way?
I have empathy if you come from the industry you come from. If somebody says that they're building a high fashion brand, I still think that Cartier's best move is to show a little humility and a little not fanciness. Mm-hmm. So I think anything that acts human always wins. So for me, I'm less precious about that. But for you and Cartier, if that's 90% of it, I understand that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it means anything. When you talk about my Instagram looks like a mess, I don't think a lot of people, I think we overthink the way it looks like as a net. I go on Tyra's account and we underthink about what it looks like in stream, which is how we actually consume it. So I've got a different point of view than the market on that.
Snapchat, which I don't understand how to use that damn thing. I still don't. I don't know what I'm doing. I was trying to record videos the other day for something else, but using their filters. And I was like, I have no idea if the whole world is looking at this right now.
Snap is still extremely big, 13 to 28, but the story feature on Instagram took a lot of momentum out of the system.
As soon as Instagram started stories, I was not using Snapchat anymore.
Yep. For me, I think that, trading attention, I think Snapchat's actually one of the most interesting places to be on right now because everybody bounced, yet there's still an ungodly amount of tension if you care about 11 to 30. So maybe if you're doing B2B hardware, Snap is not gonna matter, but Facebook is. And I think people don't understand that Facebook would for a company like that. But again, if you're starting a lifestyle fashion brand and maybe your audience is millennials 25 to 45, if you're a really thoughtful marketer, you'll realize that winning 13 to 22 will drive your business. So I think Snap matters if you care about winning under 25, but I'm not convinced that they make it out of this. They're gonna have to innovate their product. They're gonna have to come up with something. Now, Snap is very wisely invested in AR. They own Bitmoji. There's things they're doing, and I think Evan's a very uniquely interesting guy. I know him a little bit. I know Snap extremely well, but I think, to me, that is a nice to have versus a requirement.
Has to have.
Other than, again, if you're starting a hoodie company, it's requirement.
Twitter.
Twitter's the water cooler of our society, you know, which has an important place to be. I think Twitter's more about listening and reacting than pushing out content, which is why so many people struggle with Twitter. So for example, even you said, my Twitter, it's a mess, the engagement's low, that makes sense, it's a fire hose, too much content. However, if you personally use Twitter different than you used everything else, and instead of posting on it, it's when you engaged with people or jumped into conversations or culture hacked it, you would crush.
That's what my guy is doing now.
If you would jump into, like, when Ninja and Drake are on Twitch, if you jump in and it's like, boys, leave a seat for me, it would have been huge for you. Got it? So it's a counter-punching platform around copy, and this is super important. I think you're getting a sense for me. Like, I'm telling you right now, the world is grossly underestimating the strategy and nuances of these platforms. Like, I think you can tell, this is not like ha ha ha, like this is very deep, psychographic, mathematical, creative strategy. Twitter, I think, is remarkably interesting. For example, Wendy's is growing their business flat out on the back of snarky and clever Twitter engagement. And guess what? Twitter engagement doesn't cost you $80,000 for video production. Doesn't cost, you see where I'm going? So there's a lot of people here who are quite clever, and that might be the platform. And that is actually, you know how it's tough to, like, well, what am I gonna post? What's amazing about Twitter is you don't have to do that. You can just follow the conversations, get involved. Like, there's a meme right now going on based on, do you hear, right? Like the two, like, I'm ready for you. Yeah, right? Like, there's such a place for that, right? There's such a place, you have to be creative. It's creative writing. Like, this is where I think improv writers, comedy writers should live on Twitter, because they have that sensibility.
What about Google Plus?
It doesn't exist.
Like, what does that say? What does that think? You know, it kills me because I have 7 million followers on Google Plus. You have 7 people.
You have 7 million fake followers. The way they're fake, because what they did at one point was they used Gmail, and there was something else, Buzz, I'm trying to remember. They completely fabricated the top of the funnel, how much you actually had, predicated on how much we use Google for other things. So it made us all feel good.
But I spend no time there, even though there's these.
I don't think, I genuinely live my life this way and haven't thought about it for 4 years, let alone been there.
And then the obvious one, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's super interesting, because LinkedIn was a utility for, you know, jobs and has absolutely evolved into a content platform. LinkedIn's an incredibly thoughtful place for a lot of you. It's a place to do white papers and thoughtful, it's an incredibly interesting B2B place, but it's about producing content. It's about blogging and making videos and posting on LinkedIn, not spamming people and messaging them to, like, get a contract from them.
And then, is there anything on the horizon? Like, this is the next, and this, you're smelling it, and that people need to get on it early, because the earlier you get on, you tend to, you know, have a bigger following.
So I think of social media more as like content, per se, right? Because that's really where it evolves into. I'm completely obsessed with podcasting. I wouldn't call that.
So that was my question.
Go ahead.
So last year, you kind of went around the room and said, if you're not doing a podcast, I'm paraphrasing, you're an idiot. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like that. And me hearing that, not as a student, but hearing that, I felt like an idiot. And next year I'm gonna do a version of that.
I love it.
Because you said that last year.
I was super right about that, and I'm happy about it, because it's really helped a lot of my, you know, all my content's free, my audience watches it. I love the idea of, like, them benefiting, and so many of my audience, because of that rant that I was going on 2 years ago. I mean, voices, get ready. Like, no question, most exciting thing for me in technology is the voice platform. I mean, blockchain's an unbelievable technology. It's the internet itself. There's so much to talk about. AR is gonna be super rad. Machine learning and AI, super interesting. But for me, the reason I'm obsessed with voice and the apps that are gonna be built on top of Alexa and Google Home and Apple HomePod is that we're about to be affected for real in about 36 months. Like, you are going to, I would say, yeah, I'm looking around, like, you would have never guessed, I bet you, all of you, looking around, just kind of like gauging ages here, it would have been hard for you to believe how much texting compared to how much phone calling you would be doing. If I sat here 8 years ago and said, I promise you, 96% of your behavior is gonna be texting, not calling, you would have had a tough time making that leap. You would have said maybe 50-50. I'm saying it right now, remember it one day. I can't wait for you to email me. You are gonna be blown away by how much voice interaction you're gonna do in 7 years. You're not gonna type. You're not gonna type. Which is like crazy, right? Go ahead,
What are we
Tula.
gonna read? So you think that we're gonna hear it, or are we going to be talking into it and it types it and somebody else
guys,
reads it?
everything goes in a circle, right? Everything goes in a circle. I didn't think I was gonna type in my life sitting in high school. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm not gonna type. I'm not fucking use type. Why would I type? Then my whole life became type, right? It's all type. It's all, like now we're all deep into type. We're gonna go back to it because what we care about is lack of friction and speed. And it's going to be faster for you to do something with a voice device always on, everywhere, always, than it is to take out your phone and text your mom. You'd be like, Mom, I'm gonna be late. And it's gonna be done. Yeah. We're talking about like, so like it's way, 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 way bigger than you think.
It scares the hell out of me. So my mom, she's living with me now, and she had an Alexa. And I was like, get that thing out my house right now, because I'm just so nervous about everything that I say being recorded. But it's a generational thing.
Of course,
so
it's always a generational
My son's
thing.
not gonna care.
Of course,
You know?
of course. And eventually we're all gonna understand that privacy doesn't exist,
Yeah.
which is gonna be the best thing for the human race. Just to, on the record. Iris, you caught that?